Hi, Rama. It's week 11, day 3 of our Bible narrative reading plan. Today we're in Exodus chapter 34. We've come to the end of the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible. We've come to the end of the life of Moses. We see here in Deuteronomy 34 the death of Moses. Moses has led God's people. We see from the end of the chapter that he has known God in a way unlike any other prophet. He's known God face to face. God has spoken with him in a way unlike any other prophet. But the same thing that Moses was trying to teach the people throughout their wilderness wanderings, the same thing applies to Moses. That is, that obedience brings blessings and disobedience brings consequences. Moses, in his unbelief, he disobeyed God and he struck the rock rather than speaking to the rock as God had told him. And this manifested not just a disobedience, but a lack of belief. And because of that lack of belief and because of that disobedience, Moses is not going to enter the promised land. God takes him up. He sees the promised land. He sees the land that the children of Israel, those who were under the age of 20 at the time of the rebellion when the spies came back, those children, they will now grown inherit the promised land. They will enter the promised land, but Moses will not enter. He gets to see it, and we see that he is strong, even as he's 120 years old. The text says his eyes are undimmed, his vigor is abated, but he dies. God brings him to his appointed time, as each of us have an appointed time to die. Moses dies, and Israel mourns for him. Now, just as an interesting side note, we understand that Moses wrote Genesis through Deuteronomy. He wrote these books, but yet obviously he did not write the verses about his own death. Someone, probably Joshua, added those to the end of the book of Deuteronomy. Now, that does not undermine our understanding of inerrancy. It doesn't undermine our trustworthiness of the scriptures, but it is something to point out because sometimes people will try to pull that as a gotcha kind of question of saying, well, how did Moses write about his own death? We don't believe that Moses wrote about his own death. We believe that God superintended all of that and that it was added most likely at the hand of Joshua, and there's no reason for us to doubt the trustworthiness of Genesis through Deuteronomy just because of that question. But also part of our Bible reading plan today is Psalm 16. There's an important verse in there, verse 10, "For you will not abandon my soul to Sheol, or let your Holy One see corruption." Now, David has written this psalm, and when he's writing it, it's about him. He's speaking of his own personal experience. He's manifesting his trust in God. But as we're tying these two passages together, we see that as Moses was the greatest prophet until John the Baptist came. And then after John the Baptist came the one that even Moses himself had prophesied about, that is Jesus Christ. Moses had told the people in Deuteronomy 16 that there would come a prophet after him. And that prophet, of course, pointing to Jesus as we look at those descriptions that Moses gives in Deuteronomy 16. And so Jesus is the ultimate fulfillment of what we see in Psalm 16:10. The New Testament points back to this verse, "For you will not let your Holy One see corruption. You will not abandon my soul to Sheol." So even as we come to the death of Moses in the text, we understand that Moses was pointing to an even greater prophet, one far more intimate with God than even Moses was, and that is Jesus Christ. And Jesus, because of what he's done, invites us in to that intimacy with God as well, that we can know God through his word, through the work of the Holy Spirit. Here's a summary of today's reading. For more information, go to tunemyheart.org.